Hey everyone, Reptile Sam here. Today I'm here with Tom, and I have a really interesting topic today that can go a lot of different ways and has a lot of different discussion points. Today I want to talk about being a person on a plant-based diet like myself. I only cook vegan at home except for the eggs that my chickens lay, which are pets, and I'm never going to use them as meat birds. And I eat vegetarian when I'm out and about because it's easier on groups of people to go eat vegetarian than it is to eat vegan. However, I also own snakes and dogs, which have meat-based diets. So I want to talk to you guys about being a person on a plant-based diet and owning snakes and dogs. Dogs eat kibble, and kibble is mostly meat-based, and owning snakes who eat whole animals, as well as my lizards who eat bugs, which are still, of course, not vegan. So I want to talk about three main points today. The first and most extensive topic I want to talk about today is ethics. And that's probably the biggest one that people ask me about are how can you be a vegan or a vegetarian or plant-based and be okay with feeding your snakes, you know, mice and rats and quail? Or how can you be okay feeding your dogs this kibble? Um, well, first, the easiest answer is snakes require whole prey items. They have to have that in their diet. Um, if you're going to have a snake, you have to be okay with feeding your snake its whole prey. But much like dogs and cats are also much healthier when they have meat-based diets. I feed my dogs kibble. If you have enough money for it, it's good to feed your dogs more whole meat-based diets too, like fresher cuts of meat. Personally, I use a primarily salmon-based meat product kibble for my dogs because there is less of a carbon footprint, and we'll get to that later. But there is still some other animal parts in my dog's food, but I primarily feed them a salmon-based food. Um, that's just my personal preference. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian and you're uncomfortable feeding animals meat-based diets, that's okay, but you probably should have a pet like a green iguana that is a vegetarian and doesn't have to have other things to eat. Um, so if you're uncomfortable feeding a bearded dragon its bugs as half of its diet, or your leopard gecko its bugs, which is its only diet, you probably shouldn't have them. But that's what they have to eat, so I'm okay with it. Another thing about ethics is that's why I feed frozen feeders to my snakes, because they're ethically and humanely euthanized, rather than having to face the snake live and have it's scary for the animal. It can injure your snake. The snake can hurt it before it kills it. So I think it's a lot more ethical to buy frozen feeders that are humanely euthanized, and I also buy from Lane Laboratories. I've done a lot of videos and Instagram posts at reptile.sam about Lane Labs, and they also donate feeders to the zoos, and they work with animal rehab and conservation centers. So Lane has some good objectives too, and they have a lot of space for their feeders to live while they're alive. So that's kind of my little spiel on ethics behind being a vegetarian with pet snakes and dogs that are healthier on meat-based diets. The second topic is the environment. As a vegan or vegetarian, you have a smaller carbon footprint by eating less meat products, and that's just a fact because plants take a lot less space to grow and to thrive than animals do. So what about these animals? They have to eat meat too, right? Yes. So a single facility like at Lane Labs can hold thousands of feeder rodents. So it's a lot smaller of a carbon footprint than a human eating meat. And so that's just kind of where I stand on the environmental aspects of feeding snakes versus feeding myself. Because your feeder rodents that you're feeding these guys have a really tiny carbon footprint as opposed to a beef cow, which requires a lot of space of land. So, it's perfectly okay, like, if you want a hamburger, go have a hamburger. But for me personally, as a vegetarian and vegan, that's just where I stand on the environment aspect of having reptiles who have to eat meat as opposed to myself who doesn't need to. And talking about not needing to, that's where I get into health, which is the other third biggest concern about being vegetarian or vegan and your reptile's health. So humans don't necessarily require meat to be healthy. We have a lot of like flat teeth that are made for grinding plant matter. Most of our teeth are flat, except for maybe like what 4 of our 32 teeth, maybe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Are pointed. Most of them are flat for grinding, not for piercing. Especially here in the 21st century, where plant-based diets are really easily accessible in most major cities and most states in the United States, and a lot of places around the world. So if that's easily accessible for you, it's a lot easier than it was, say, 200 years ago, where the only source of protein you had really was an animal on your farm. But, I can go down to the grocery store and buy tofu, tempeh, chickpeas, any number of protein that I want that's plant-based and still be healthy. However, your snakes here, like Tom, are still always going to need that meat source. So snakes and other carnivores or omnivores, like cats and dogs. Cats are mostly carnivores, but dogs are omnivores. They do well with both in their diet, but they still need meat and plants. Um, it just comes with the territory. So that's kind of, I wanted to post a video about being a person on a plant-based diet and having animals like snakes who have to eat meat, and kind of talk about where I stand on the three main topics, which is ethics, the environment, and health. And so why, I'm not going to try to shove my diet down anyone's throat. These are just my opinions only. Um, but, so if you have any questions about being a plant-based person and still having pet reptiles, I'd be happy to chat with you guys. Drop a comment down in the comment section or message me on Instagram at reptile.sam. And remember to like and subscribe to these videos and to follow me on Instagram. And I look forward to posting more really cool snake content with little snakes like Tom here and with my other reptiles. And until next time, guys, I'm Reptile Sam, and I'll see you later.